I would say the situation today is slightly different from how it was, say, 10 years ago. Remember the last time I was on, we were talking about the diplomatic détente that has taken place between the Gulf states, namely the UAE and Saudi Arabia, and Iran a couple of years ago, a re-establishment of diplomatic relations. And don't get me wrong, I don't think there's a lot of love lost between the neighbors, so to speak. But certainly from the perspectives of GCC states who are so focused on their economic diversification plans, what is worse than the removal of the Iranian regime would be political instability. They don't want chaos. So the states around the Middle East have been pushing for a diplomatic solution, and they've been pushing for the US to try to exercise some leverage on Israel to reduce the intensity of attacks.
Joumanna, I guess the debate this morning here in the United States is what role will the United States play in the coming hours, days, and weeks in this conflict? What's the expectation from the Middle East at this point, what the next steps of the U.S. might be?
Look, a source that we spoke to is just as confused as the next person. And this is somebody who works in one of the foreign ministries. I think there's a lot of confusion and also a lot of concern about what the U.S. decide to do. And ultimately, nobody has great insight into what the president is thinking here. And at the end of the day, it probably will be the president's decision. And if you look at the post that President Trump has put out in the last 24 hours, there seems to be a hardening of his stance towards the region. He mentions that the Ayatollah could be an easy target. He's demanding for Iran to unconditionally surrender. He's saying that we have total control of the skies. That we has caught a lot of people's attention.
But Joumanna, the people with traditional international relations, I guess they span from Cairo up to Ankara. Mr. Erdogan making comments today. From where you sit running our coverage out of Dubai, are Egypt, El-Sisi, I guess, and Turkey, Erdogan, are they part of these discussions or are they removed?
From what we see, the joint statement that was put out on Monday that was signed by 21 Arab and Islamic states had them as signatories. They were condemning the actions and the encroachment on Iranian sovereignty. They say that it is a breach of the UN Charter. All of them signed on to it. But in terms of who is actively looking to mediate, it is the Arab Gulf states.
We are advantaged to have Joumanna Bercetche with us as we look at tape playback of the supreme leader of Iran. This is Ali Khamenei speaking within the last 2 hours, born in 1939. Do we have English on that? We do not have English on it. But there we are. This is someone that goes back to the time of the Shah, of course, arrested many times, and his supreme leader is a political authority with the people of Iran. I think this is a great confusion, Joumanna, to all Americans. The bipart Iranian political exercise of the theocracy of Ali Khamenei and then the government of Iran. Describe how they work together.
Well, they are one and the same. At the end of the day, the supreme leader is called the supreme leader for a single reason, because he has essentially full control militarily, economically, when it comes to foreign affairs policy. And the Revolutionary Guard is composed of thousands of senior commanders who are beholden to the supreme leader, Ayatollah. He's obviously getting on in age. He's in older age now. There had been questions about who his successor was going to be. And if you remember, there were Iranian elections last year. The President Pezeshkian had campaigned on perhaps a more moderate stance, but all of that has been washed away because it became apparent, very apparent, with the flaring up of the various wars in the region, that it was one person only making the decisions in Iran, and that is the Ayatollah. But when people talk about regime change, there's no viable alternative right now because there is no opposition in Iran. There has not been a political opposition for decades.